liaison for this item.
Thank you, Mayor. And just to clarify at the beginning, my intent is to quickly discuss this, but the end result is if the council is interested in it, to send it to Cobby and Tracy to see if it's legal and if there are updates that they would make to it. This is a incentive program that is a model language through the American Legislative Exchange Council. I traveled to Denver. I was a part of the city and county association for that, and this was something that cities and counties are passing. Alec is pushing, and I thought it was a good idea, a way to incentivize staff to find more cost savings for the city, and then to be able to reward them for it. The model language sets up a committee that it can be review applications from staff either biannually or annually. If their cost savings are approved and it actually works out to have cost savings, the employee could get a percentage of that. What I liked about the program is that it should be financially a net zero. They're getting a percentage of savings if those savings occur. I would add that talked to the mayor of Marble Falls. He said he has a similar program. He does it for grants. If city staff bring forward a grant, help achieve and get the grant, they're able to get some small percentage. So just for discussion up here, if we were interested in trying to look into a sort of incentive partnership like this, would we want to consider grants in there as well? In my discussion, I put this on the discussion board so that I got some public feedback. I got some council feedback. I think that Councilor Roberts had some good feedback about making sure that this fits in line with the city charter and ethics code. And I think that's what we would ask Cobby to look into as well. What I heard from the public was just some clarification as to, isn't this what staff would already be doing? And I said, yes, but what we talked about at ALEC was sometimes you may have an employee in a different department and they have an idea about this department, how they can get savings. They may not feel like they really have that avenue to do so. Or maybe the idea was brought up before, wasn't fully fleshed out, didn't happen. This gives us opportunity in a positive way once or twice a year, and it's an incentive and way for them to get more money. I think it could be positive. I don't know if people watch The West Wing. I thought of it as the Big Wheel Cheese Day. It's like a very positive atmosphere. Everybody come with your ideas, and whoever has the best idea, everybody knows that. And I think it could be good for the employees, and just thought it was worth us considering if we want to explore it. And with that, I will leave it to council if you have questions or concerns and thoughts.
Thanks, sir. Yes, sir.
Shane, as you noted, I sent my feedback to everybody through the message board. Has anybody looked at the message board? Mm-hmm. Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. So those are my recommendations, but I don't know if we mentioned it when we came out of executive session like we normally do as to what items we may have asked for guidance about, but this was one of them. And as you just alluded to, I sent my recommendations to Cobby for review. So I think we should, my recommendation would be that we table this until our next meeting, give Cobby time to just look over those proposed edits.
Yes, Mr. Prince.
A couple of questions, Shane.
Yeah.
You mentioned Marble Falls, so that's a good example. Did you run into any cities who said they have a program and they view it as being successful?
Yeah, here in other states, so it was like Des Moines, Iowa did, and then there was like Wisconsin County. It seemed to be very popular with counties.
Oh yeah,
because they span a lot further, I guess, and so I could definitely give it to Alec and get some more examples from them of how it's gone. But everybody talked about it was positive. I've heard from other citizens that it's something that they see in the private sector as well, and so I think it's the public sector is now trying to see if this works.
Yeah, and my experience with programs like that is it's really hard to do them where they actually provide more benefit than the tax it puts on the people that are running it. But people have done it successfully. I know 3M is famous for doing this kind of thing, and they famously built many business lines coming out of the ideation kind of thing. So I think it can be done. The way it actually, the details, the devil's in the details, I guess. And so as we get there and figure out what we legally can or can't do, I think we'll need to have a quality discussion about how do we set it up so that has good hope of benefit without a lot of tax on key staff members, for example.
I think Mr. Turner, yeah, go ahead.
I think this is a really good idea. And I also like the addition of adding a grant language to it. I mean, since this came from like a uniform statute or ordinance type of deal, I would be okay saying, we could okay this tonight and add the bond stuff or the grant stuff and hand it off to Cobby for the tough work, and then come back and we can vote on it on consent, and then it'll go to staff for the really tough work, because the administration of it is going to be the toughest part.
So moved. Ms. Mary.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I would actually be okay with that to Councilor Durbin, where perhaps we make some sort of motion one way or the other on this evening, and if it passes, make a part as a part of that motion.
Condition it.
Yeah, condition, and then bring it back on consent so we can, get it off our plates rather than kind of pushing it down the road. But I mean, I'm thinking on this because I also think it's a good idea. So thank you for bringing this forward. I think this is a really a good example of thinking outside of the box, but something that could also be beneficial to staff and to the city as a whole and to the citizens. I think a key component of this, though, to potentially avoid that taxing of staff, is that you would make this something where this is not something that staff would be spending their work time on. It would be like, if this is something you're interested in doing kind of on your own time, you could chase down these things or do this, that, or the other, and then you bring these ideas forward at another time. But my thinking is that this isn't something that we would want staff working on during the course of their normal business day. And I think that's how you get around that, taxing on staff, because it's totally voluntary. It's outside of their job duties, their job description. In fact, they should not be working on this when they're supposed to be working on their job duties and their job description. And those who are successful in pitching an idea, are rewarded for that. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but is it intended to be something that's done outside of the workday?
Correct. Actually, in the model language, it specifies that it has to be outside of regular work hours and outside their regular duties.
Yeah. And that's why I brought it up, because I read that in there. Thank you.
Mayor, just a clarification, if I may. What I was concerned about of overtaxing is the people who would be on the committee to review the ideas, because they would be doing that during work time. I think it would be inappropriate to ask them to do that as extracurricular activity.
Yeah.
And so if you have a big flow of ideas that really don't make sense, you can waste a lot of time of the review committee. I've seen this in, for example, patent applications at a previous company I was with. We spent a lot of time on stupid ideas, right? And so that's my concern. You want to set it up in a way that there's some sort of filter that quickly says, not worth time, here's a good one, let's focus on it.
Yeah.
So anyway, just that clarification.
So I had some very similar comments. I'm concerned about the committee members and the time they would have to spend on it. And I did read in the model language about they're supposed to be doing it in their off hours.
Yeah.
The concern I have there is, how do we verify that they're doing it in their off hours? So I'm a little concerned about that. And then the final one was the thought that an employee comes up with an idea that's not in their area. I guess I'm a little bit old school in that I think we pay people to do for the good of the city, whether it's your area or not. If you come up with an idea, I think we already pay you for that. And so I'm a little concerned about, number one, rewarding people for that. But number two, what happens when someone in this area has an idea and they go, oh, well, and it's their area, and they go, I can't get compensated for it, so I'm going to go over to somebody in another area and have them put it forward, and we're going to split it. I think there are complications that can happen with it that just concern me a little bit. That's all.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that?
Sure.
What do you mean that they can't get compensated for it if it's in their own area?
Yeah, the way a model language is that it has to be someone coming forward with an idea that's not in their area, correct?
No, it can be in their area.
I thought it,
Oh.
I thought it could be
Yeah.
both.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah.
I thought it had to be in an area that they're not normally working in.
Probably just
No, it's just an
not within their
example.
job description.
Yeah.
Okay.
This way I would look at
Correct.
it.
Yeah. And in fact, one more. Okay.
Well, and so if that's the case, then my thought is that, excuse me, we shouldn't be rewarding them for coming up with ideas that they should have been coming up with in the first place. Cubby looks like he's trying to get us. No?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that I think the as far as verifying whether or not somebody is or isn't working on it, during work hours, I mean, I think you verify that the same way that you do that. Folks aren't taking a break to surf Facebook. I think you just trust staff in that if they come to you and say, that they weren't working on it during their work time, you just take their word for it. I mean, really, you have no way to monitor that people are doing their job all day, every day anyway.
Right.
So I don't see this as anything
Let's do get their
different.
work. Get their work
Yeah, I
done.
think you just trust them. Yeah, as long as they're getting their job done. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Any other comments, questions? Then I'm open to a motion. I didn't have anybody signed up to speak on this item.
Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the creation of the Lago Vista Savings Incentive Partnership Program and give direction to the city attorney to come up with good language to take into consideration the discussions we had here on council and bring it back on consent.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Saum and a second by Mr. Roberts. Any discussion on that motion?
Do we need to put in any language about addition of looking into grants? Copy?
Yeah. Well, we did discuss that, I
We
guess.
discussed it.
If you want that included, and
Put it in the motion.
I mean, I heard you talk about it, so
I mean, his motion said take into account what we spoke about tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that fair enough?
Which would include bringing it back on consent.
You could just modify your motion to say including grants.
I understand the assignment.
Okay.
We're spending way too much time nitpicking about stuff. Please.
Okay.
So I still say we have a motion by Mr. Saum and a second by Mr. Roberts. I don't think there's any amendment to the
Doesn't
motion.
need to be.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Nay. So it passes 5-1 with me dissenting.